Hello again, and welcome to Football Manager Roleplay, a project where we create a player using the FM pregame editor, give him a potential ability of 200, and see if he will become the greatest American footballer ever. We simply observe the progression of this player, Henry Marshall, from the age of 15 to hopefully his eventual retirement. This is a world-building exercise where Football Manager provides the events, and we build a story around those events. Let's take a look at Henry Marshall's current slide. We do have a change there, and that Henry's current rating has jumped up plus 2 points to 140. Liverpool also now has a new owner in Frankie Ah, but Mark Bridge Wilkinson has been named interim head coach until Stefano Pioli can take charge in April. So let's take a look at 2026's award winners. And for the award winners this year for FIFA Best Player, we have Kylian Mbappe from PSG. I think he won it last year. World Player of the Year, Kylian Mbappe, PSG. Best Keeper, we have a new guy here, Mike Mignon from AC Milan. On the CONCACAF side, CONCACAF's Player of the Year is Leon Bailey out of Aston Villa. The CONCACAF Keeper Award was given to Gabriel Slonina from Borussia. And the U.S. Young Player is Quinn Sullivan from Sampdoria. And let's go ahead and what we're going to do is we're going to start rolling up to see some of these awards here. And if you look at the Young Player of the Year winners, yep, there is Henry Marshall. He has received, third place, sort of a bronze medal for Young Player of the Year. But hey, Sullivan's 22, Marshall's still just 20. Henry Marshall's got at least a couple of years to have a chance to actually win that thing. Also, what we want to do as we enter the year 2027 is we want to look back at some of the technological changes of 2026 that have impact. So, in November 2026, the first 50 plus terabyte hard drives were sold. So if you're into computers, that's something that you might want to know about. And in 2026, the Stad Ship Tunnel was completed. Now, the Stad Ship Tunnel is a planned canal and tunnel to bypass the Stad Peninsula in Stad municipality in Vestland, Norway. Note this is a tunnel. You actually have ships passing through solid rock, which is something that I kind of find amazing. So let's go ahead and start looking at the games that were played. And we'll start with January 1st. This was a game against Brighton. It was Brighton at Anfield. How did that game turn out? We're going to go through a lot of news to get here. The division window is now open, so we'll see if people move in. Salah, he gets a new just 2-year deal. And it was a hammering of Brighton, 3-1. And big game for Henry Marshall. As you can see, he was the player of the match in that one. And we'll go pull it up here. Henry Marshall, 35th minute. Maybe we're going to take actually a look at that goal from Henry. Well, he started this game. He was really ready for this game. Darwin Núñez kicked it off for the Reds. He had a goal in the 30th minute. And then we'll take a look at this goal. That was a nice assist by Edwards there, and Henry was just very well placed for that goal. I don't know why when you record through Clipchamp, it doesn't bring the sound in. I kind of like to hear the sound on that goal, but that's okay. Henry didn't need the sound. David Fratesi, he snuck one by in the 89th minute as well. So, and big win for Liverpool. Let's look at the player statistics. Henry made 3 key passes here. He was the player of the match. He played with such force out. He had 6 interceptions made. Just an outstanding game. 8.1 match rating for him. He also took 3 shots on goal for Liverpool. One would do. He would get praise, as we can see, in the usual, post-game kind of stuff here. Let's see if we find him there. There's the 3-1. Scored victory. Praise from Mike Bridge Wilkinson, which of course he would like to have. And even Brighton's Emre Belozoglu thought that he had a great game. Now, up next is going to be Crystal Palace. And Crystal Palace is a team Liverpool will be playing 3 times in January. They'll play in 2 legs of a League Cup semifinal, and then they'll play once as part of the regular Premier schedule. The next game coming up is January 5th at Crystal Palace. This will be the League Cup semifinal first leg. And we'll see Van Dijk here. He has a new 2-year contract. Liverpool favorites for this game, possibly Abraham in a Liverpool jersey. I've gotten rid of a lot of this MLS stuff. I had it on normal. I've set it to minimum. Here's the team of the week for the Premier Division. Fertezi gets in for Liverpool. Marshall does not. So well, you got to score a lot more goals to have that happen for you. And Ole Drago has been set. He is going Schalke 04. He will be agreeing to a deal with Liverpool. He's a wonder kid. And here in Liverpool, Crystal Palace stunned the Reds. It is an 0-1 loss to Crystal Palace. But when you give up control of the ball to the visitors, this is what's going to happen here. And we'll pull up the game match here, generate the match report, and what you'll see is that in possession, Crystal Palace clearly had a lot of possession. Note, Liverpool made 13 shots, only 2 were on target. I just felt that Liverpool in this game felt like they were under pressure. Marco played the complete game with the Liverpool, and he would finish with a 6-7 rating. There he is. 2 crosses, a couple of tackles, a lot of interceptions, trying to make something happen, but can't. And see, you have Russell John starting this game. You have Alex Titchfield. Also here he played a complete game. You've got Matt Maloney playing his very first game, first senior game for Liverpool up there. So this game was just sort of a youth. Lutzau is there. You've got a youth extravaganza here. Look at Edwards here with 5 key passes and 4 clear-cut chances created, but Liverpool can make nothing happen. Crystal Palace drops that one 1-0. So how is Henry feeling about all this? Well, Henry enjoyed the regularity of having only one team to play for. And at this point, he was also 4 games away from a big boost in salary. Because once he plays 15 games, he will get a $1 million raise. If we get to the 15th game, we'll show you how the salary kind of changes for him. So in between these games with Crystal Palace, actually there's a game at Burnley on the 9th. It's the FA Cup 3rd round game. On January 7th, he received a call from Teresa Hills. And this was the girl he had went out with for a few months. They broke up in the previous year. She had graduated from the University of Liverpool. She was working, believe it or not, with AXA. But that was AXA Investment, and that was in London. So it was glad to touch base with her. He hadn't heard from her in quite some time. And Henry hoped that they could perhaps, see each other. He'd been so busy playing for 2 different teams that he needed a break. But sadly, she wasn't really interested in hooking up with him. She was interested in providing him with an investment program for athletes. Well, were you sent by the club? He asked her, and he meant Liverpool by that. And her answer was no. She was reaching out to athletes and figured out that he needed investment help. He probably did, but he didn't want it from her. He said he'd think about it. After hearing the rest of her sales pitch and getting her contact information, he hung up. It'd be the last time they would ever speak to each other. There would be this one time he thought he saw her at a club in Liverpool, but she lived in London. Just his brain playing tricks on him. On January the 8th, in the evening, he heard news from the telly that distracted him. In the United States, the FBI had put out an all-points bulletin for Peter Murphy. This Peter Murphy was formerly a PhD student in bioengineering at Stanford University. He was now under suspicion for the use of a weapon of mass destruction in Indiana. It would be revealed later that the FBI had simply gotten lucky. Now, Murphy was already on their long list of suspects, and the FBI had learned that Murphy had made a call into a right wing internet radio show, one of shows in the United States, really all over the world for that matter, devoted to right wing extremism and various forms of conspiracy mongering and threats of future apocalypse, militias, preppers, that sort of deal. Now, the host of this little show, which probably only a few dozen people ever listened to, was pushing the theory that the CDC was releasing death vans. These death vans were going to be used to create a false flag event for President Biden to establish a dictatorship. Now, Murphy had had a history of calling similar radio programs like this in the past. And he called in and he talked to the host for 9 minutes about what creating such a biological weapon would entail. And the host, out of curiosity, said, "Did you pull this off?" And Murphy said quietly, "I did. The masses have to be warned that you serve or you don't. Christ did not come to bring peace, but a sword. We have opened the seals of the new kingdom." There was silence, and then Murphy broke communication. Peter Murphy was now the number one suspect, and a nationwide manhunt, both in the United States and Canada, began. But some people theorized that Murphy might hide up in the mountains forever, and he had to be caught before he struck again. And now we'll get back to football here. Maloney made his Liverpool debut. Liverpool, Allison, good news from Allison. He pins a 2-year Liverpool contract. Finally added Allison's face there. And now Liverpool facing Burnley in the very first round of the FA Cup. Well, actually the third round of the FA Cup, the first round that Liverpool takes place in. This is at Burnley. So how do they do? Uedrego gets his work permit. He is now with the club. And what we get, Liverpool wins in this FA Cup third round, 2-0 win on the road. And they just, as it says here, they just hammer Burnley clearly in front of 21,000 people. And now, by the way, attendance for the gold cards, even though people absolutely hate the gold cards, absolutely hate having had to carry this extra form of ID just to use for football games. They are using it. Attendance is back up to what it was. It was just a royal thumping of an overmatched team. Henry Marshall, he only plays, if you'll see here, in the first half of this game. And there's Marshall. He leaves in the first half. He's replaced by Andrew Robinson, who had been starting for them. They basically split halves. Marshall 4 key passes, 93% accuracy. 3 interceptions. Very good match rating for him, 7.4. He and Harvey Elliott, the man of the match, they're practically setting each other up with all their key passes. Passing in this game was just great. Liverpool just slices Burnley wide open in it. So after that game is the second game. It's the League Cup second semifinal. It will be against Crystal Palace. How does that game turn out? Uedrego made his debut. Focus on now. This is going to be played at Palace here, and remember that Crystal Palace is up 1-0. So Liverpool's got to score at least. Has to win this game just to stay alive. And Liverpool, by the way, will get Derby in the next round of the FA Cup. How does that turn out? Well, it's a null draw. So what happens is Crystal Palace win in the League Cup on a semifinal on aggregate. Liverpool is knocked out of the League Cup. Crystal Palace has never won the League Cup, so they've got to be extremely happy here. Henry Marshall, it's once again, we have he plays in the first half situation. Look at this. Crystal Palace, only one shot on goal. Liverpool, 13 shots on goal. They're really trying. They just can't get it in. They just don't have any offense here. What's going on there? Take a look at the player statistics. Here is Liverpool. Here is Marshall. He plays the first full half, 100% passing rating. Maybe he didn't get a really chance to really set up a whole lot of shots here. So 6.9 rating for him. Let's see, Russell John plays this game, and Allison is the player of the match. But if one of his mates had helped him, maybe score a goal, maybe Liverpool would still have a chance at a trophy. But unfortunately not. Crystal Palace moves on. January 13th, the Liverpool under-21 squad had a game scheduled against the Luton under-21s. But when Henry came in to train with the under-21s, he got a message from under-21 coach Barry Ludis. The contents of his locker had been moved toward the senior club's dressing room. "They made you unavailable for this Luton game," he said. "I think you're now at the main club to stay. Congratulations, and don't look back. Act like you belong there." And he did. By now, the senior Liverpool club had gotten a chance to know Henry, or at least be familiar with who he was. He was expecting a message. They made a horrible mistake, and he had to get his ass right back to the academy. Anyway, next game up should be the Crystal Palace game. And let's see if we can find it here. And yep, this is the one. It's actually this game right here. This game is at Crystal Palace. It's number 10, Liverpool 10th, Crystal Palace 17. This is a 1-1 draw, which denies any chance of revenge for Crystal Palace knocking Liverpool out of the League Cup here. And we'll have to, it's weird that there's like a 10-second wait when you have to punch these things, but there it is. Crystal Palace, Liverpool, 1-1. I probably shouldn't have even opened it because Henry found out he wasn't going to be subject to play this game the day before. So this denied him a chance of getting a 15th appearance. It denied him a chance to get a raise, but he enjoyed the weekend off. Maybe he would play the next game. This was the one on January 19th. Liverpool would host Aston Villa in a Champions League match. And what was the result of that game? This game was going to be a 4-2 victory. There is a summary of that victory right here. And we're not going to go into any detail on this victory because they found room for Russell John on the roster, but they didn't find any room for Henry Marshall. So without playing in this game, Henry hopes that he will get a chance to play at the game. Let's see if we can find it here. It is the Norwich game. They will host Norwich. Liverpool currently in the 10th spot, Norwich in the 20th spot in the Premier League. How did that game end? The result becomes, Serwin signs a deal, Konate signs a deal, Jota vows to his goal drought. Well, apparently Jota didn't end it in this game. This was a embarrassing 3-0 loss to possibly relegation-bound Norwich at Anfield. It had fans heading out the door after Mitchell Baker's goal here, or Baker's goal in the 89th. This game, I don't know what to say about that one. But anyway, and also it's the third straight senior club game that Henry didn't get to play in. So, how can Henry take responsibility for any of those losses? He didn't feel, bad about that. Up next is the game against Serbian club Crvena Zvezda. And we'll see if we can move up to here. Ridge Wilkinson disappointed at humbling defeat, as well he should be. Liverpool favorites for this clash with Crvena Zvezda. How does that game? Does Henry get to play in it? Henry Marshall does not get to play in this game either, even though it's at Anfield. And this game is particularly interesting. Liverpool beats Crvena Zvezda 11-0. 11-0. And Henry Marshall was just punching himself in the face for not getting a chance to play in this onslaught record-setting game. Let's talk about this game. I may show the graphic anyway, just so you can see kind of some of the details of this game. This game was one of those games where people talk about being there years after it. First, Darwin Nunez. He had 4 goals in this game. This sets the Liverpool record for most goals ever scored by a player in a game. Oh, by the way, he was also the previous holder of this record when he had 3 goals against Everton in a match. Noah Okafor also had a hat trick. He had 3 goals. The new guy, where is he at? Asan Draogo, he had 2 goals in this game. Crvena Zvezda only had 1 shot at goal, and they would lose all. They would lose all 8 games in the Champions League, and they would finish Champions League with a -42 goal differential, because the previous game they had played before they played Liverpool was against Dortmund, and they lost that Dortmund game also by a score of 11-0. And this win tied Liverpool's previous biggest win record. Now, that was an 11-0 beating of Norwegian club Strømsgodset in 1974. So this is the biggest win that Liverpool has had in 50 years. And the goal differential puts Liverpool temporarily in the top 8. And we'll see this graphic here. But whether they get a bye depended on the results of other games. So they had to wait a little while. And on January 28th, Liverpool got its answer. They squeaked into the round of 16 based on that record-setting showing against the Serbians. We'll look at some other scores here. Let's see. Spectacle at Anfield, records for, blitz goals in a match. You'll see, yes, that Liverpool did indeed qualify for the round of 16th on the 28th bonus round pot of $1.1 million per player. Liverpool facing the Wolves in this next match. Liverpool in the 11th slot, Wolves in the 9th. They are at Wolves. How did that game turn out? And the answer is, we'll see it. Marshall, Sports Bible says Marshall should be dropped by the USA. Marshall just ignores that. Reds struggle to overcome Wolves, but they do overcome Wolves. A rare Liverpool away victory, 2-1. Trent Alexander-Arnold scores in the 72nd minute on an assist from Mohamed Salah, and that gives the Reds the win. Henry Marshall didn't play in this match, and the only reason he could think of why the club wasn't letting him play was that with the next game, they had to boost his salary, and the club wanted to save money and not pay him extra for making 15 appearances for Liverpool. And then a horrible thought reached Henry's head. Could Liverpool just simply refuse to play him at all for the rest of the season? So, we're going to stop here. Henry Marshall scores his 3rd goal in a Liverpool win at the beginning of January. A name is attached to the Bloody November attack, and the United States and Canada begin a manhunt. And Henry Marshall has finally moved on to the senior Liverpool club, but the club has to pay him extra beginning with his next appearance, so he's waiting for them to play him. If you like what you've seen or heard, take care, hit the like or subscribe button. Until next time.